become very expensive and used almost exclusively for vocal singing and recording, right?
These were just referred to generically as microphone types or element types, something to keep in mind. Let's look at the dynamic microphone and think about kind of quickly how it works, but also what you can use it for. So the dynamic microphone works really loud at high pressure levels, like guitar amps and drums. You'll see them a lot of times for vocals in live settings because they are good at just picking up what's in front of them. The mouth is right there and loud, as opposed to picking up the whole band behind them and generating feedback and things like that. It's great on instruments, which ultimately is a slightly more sensitive microphone, even though it's not really legitimate for me to say that. That's the truth. It's more sensitive. It can pick up things with sharper transients like the voice, like acoustic guitars, like violins, because it works on an electrostatic principle. And in a nutshell, that means the sound waves come, and this little super thin diaphragm that's coated with like gold or nickel on the back, it just moves against this static background, and that generates electric signals. And this is charged. It's kind of positive and negative charge. Pretty exciting. The newer ones have some technology that makes them less susceptible to damage. It's an amazingly sensitive element, which is the good part and the bad part about it at the same time.
We have no ribbon microphones here. All right, we're going to get into pickup patterns, and I'll show you a bunch of graphs after this video, pickup patterns.
Not paying attention to the sound that's around it. So in these charts, I have a gray area that represents the pickup pattern type, and then this would represent 360 degrees around the microphone, the white circle.
Okay, where's that?
So knowing what the pickup pattern is of your microphone is really helpful.
Think about it like this, too. That's only a cross diagram, but this is, think of it in terms of 3 dimensions. This microphone has, I think it's pretty sure it's a super cardioid, and it goes like this. The pattern goes like this and comes out maybe 3 or 4 feet. But that's all the way around, right? That's in 3 dimensions. It's not just in 2 dimensions. So this microphone, if I pointed at you like this, would record hardly anything behind me. Hardly anything here, hardly anything here, only in front of the microphone. That's why a dynamic microphone is used by rock singers. So you don't pick up the guitarist over there, you don't pick up the drummer behind you, right? Because it's got a very tight polar pattern. Now, shotgun microphones, like you use in film production, tend to have hypercardioid patterns. They're very tight patterns, and they go very far up, so you don't get people even over there, right? You don't get them, you don't get them, you just get everything in front of you.
At different points around the pickup pattern. So this is a cardioid pickup pattern, and what it's saying is that this thick line is the 1 kilohertz frequency. At that frequency, it's sensitive in a true cardioid pattern. Now, if you look at this line, which represents 8 kilohertz, a higher frequency, it's actually more sensitive to that back here where it's supposed to reject it. So if you have higher frequencies, you're actually going to hear those a little bit more. They'll seep through.
You can see at 5K, it's a much bigger open pattern, right? There's all the dimensions, so on and so forth. Let's look at a couple other ones. We have the AKG. You have a couple of these, same idea, right? What frequencies is it sensitive to? You understand now that the human voice sits somewhere around here generally, between about 150, 200, all the way up to about 5,000, but that's like somebody with a really high pitched, voice. Most people, I probably sit somewhere around, got a fairly deep voice, I probably sit around here, right? So if you're recording me, and I'm doing the voiceover for your book or whatever, for your movie, you might want to find a microphone that's more sensitive to my frequency range, right? Here you'll see this peaks up around 10,000. It's more sensitive to that frequency range than certainly below 50 where it starts to drop off. Polar pattern, right? Same right
to 4.2 kilohertz. To 4.2 kilohertz. Not including overtones. Other instruments, such as the crash of a cymbal, can produce higher frequencies. The cymbal, for instance, can be around 15 kilohertz. Overtones and harmonics for some instruments can go up to the high frequency extent for human hearing of 20 kilohertz. Human speech is an interesting case. The fundamental frequency range of humans covers the range from 85 Hz to 250 Hz. Fricatives, horns, and overtones can go as high as 15 kilohertz. For example, the hiss of an S is around 10 kilohertz. Even though the high fidelity range for human speech is around 80 Hz to 15 kilohertz, only a much narrower band is necessary for intelligibility of communication. The public telephone system limits the bandwidth from 300 Hz to 3.4 kilohertz. The coil is placed in the presence of. Through this field, a current is generated on the wire related to the sound pressure striking the diaphragm. Dynamic microphones are physically rugged, so they are good for handheld use and anywhere around. Also, no voltage.
The other window. If you're in the mix window, Command equals will take you to the edit window. If you're in the edit window, back to the mix window. We don't need the mix, and we'll resize the edit window to maximum size and fill the screen. Now this is an edit window with no tracks in it yet, and we'll add those in a few minutes.
Go ahead and do that, guys.
Different things. We'll go into each of them in greater detail as we do different projects, but the main difference between shuffle and slip is that shuffle inserts, deletes, and rearranges blocks of time, and slip leaves things in place. For instance, if you wanted to insert an 8-bar guitar solo after the bridge of your song and push everything that comes back after it, 8 bars, you would use shuffle mode. If you wanted to delete something and fill the gap, you would use shuffle mode. If you wanted to do something else, you would use slip mode. So shuffle fills and makes gaps, slip leaves things in place. Film editors, you all.
I would suggest you tend to use slip mode. You're doing film production, it's almost all slip and spot. Spotting is for putting things at exactly some moment in time. Slip has the most flexibility in terms of moving things around. Shuffle allows you to move things in blocks. It gets used a lot in music production and certain times during audio editing for film production. But most of the time, for now, you should leave it in this slip.
Already know this as insert edits and overwrite edits. ProTools can display.
Slip is like overwrite, shuffle is like insert. For those of you guys who are familiar with Avid or Final Cut. Shuffle moves things and shoves things around. Slip allows you to grab it and put it into place, and it doesn't move anything else. Slip is like overwrite. It lets you drag things over on top of other things. Shuffle is like insert. If you put it in, it'll push things down the timeline.
Movies, and we use spot mode when we want to place a sound on a particular frame of film where the playhead is part. It's faster than typing timecode addresses. And we use grid mode when we're editing on the beat so that all our regions stay locked onto the beat. We also use.
So grid is mostly for music. Spot is for doing spots. You got a sound effect. You want it to go exactly at 1 hour, 20 minutes, 14 seconds, and 6 frames. That's spot, right? Grid, music, shuffle, both music and film, depending on what you need to do. Slip, almost all film, right? Oops. Photoshop, why the hell is that there? I don't know.
Grid to slice up rhythmic sounds into mathematically accurate slices. Next to the 4 mode buttons are the zoom buttons. You can zoom in, zoom out, and store various zoom settings. I'm going to show you a better way to zoom than these buttons are.
Try that though. Spend a second. Guys, just try it. Make sure you understand it. Try slip mode and then grab the hand. With the slip mode in the hand, you can drag the audio around. Shuffle, you're not going to see any detail, right? You do this, you're not going to have any idea what you're actually looking at. You generally want to sit somewhere around there. That's for MIDI, right? And this is to the left and the right. You'll see the two arrows in the zoom tool, and you can zoom in, you can zoom out. Note where it zooms in. It zooms where your cursor is, right? So I'm going to zoom in, it moves in on the cursor. I zoom out, it moves from that cursor point, right? I change the cursor to the end of the song, I go zooming in, it zooms in on that cursor point. Oh boy. Oh joy. Come on, let's sing. Hold my hand, Toby, hold my hand, Toby. Feel the Lord, Toby. You don't want to hold my hand, Toby. Come on, Toby. All right, let's look at some more of our video. If I can find it. There we go.
As we do different projects. There's a zoomer, there's a trimmer that lets you set in and out points, there's a selector so that we can pick precise areas to edit with, there's a grabber that lets you move things around on the timeline, there's a scrubber so that we can go fast forward and back, kind of like rocking the tape heads like engineers used to do. And the pencil lets us do lots of different things, including actually writing music with it, writing MIDI notes that will...
Take a few seconds. Here we go. You can. Right, you can scrub the song to listen to some particular element. You're like, wait a second, I think I hear a pop in there, right? And you can go ahead and remove sections of that waveform. Apple Z is your friend, Apple Z is your friend. Undo it, right? Selector, if I'm not in the separation, you'll see that it doesn't choose just that section, right? You need to be in the separation mode of the hand tool. Then when you select stuff, and you grab the hand tool, you can remove stuff. Also, you'll see this tool, I like to call it the edge tool, trim tool. That allows you to grab the edge of the waveform and move it or open it up. Remember, it's non-destructive editing. Just because you remove a section, goodbye, doesn't mean it's still not there. Non-destructive editing. Before your eyes. Sorry. Seriously, just, I don't know. What is the term? You can choose the zoom tool and make a selection forms right there and zoom in just on that. It's going to fill the screen with just that, right? If I just want to see this section, it's going to take that section and zoom